Hey, secret friends, welcome back to the Spotlight. This is, of course, our segment where we talk to folks in the pop culture space, people that make the things that we love. And I am very excited to be sitting down with artist and overall, so I hear, super great guy, Bill Morrison. Bill, good evening. How are you today?
Good evening. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Appreciate you coming on. First and foremost, I got connected with you through a cohort of mine, Kurt Krug, who's a Michigan guy, just like I am, and just like
Right.
you are. So he wanted me to say hello. Um,
Hey,
but to
Kurt.
kick things off, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said, hey, Kurt.
Hey, yeah, right back at you. To kick things off, always love having a Michigan guy on the show. How did you get started in the business?
Well, I grew up here, born and raised in Lincoln Park, Michigan, just south of Detroit. I went
Oh yeah,
to what was at the time the Center for Creative Studies. It's now the College for Creative Studies. And I studied there for 4 years, put in 2 years doing technical illustration here in Detroit, not by choice, but that was what I could get.
yeah,
And as a young kid coming out of art school. And while doing that, I just worked on my portfolio. I knew that I wanted to head out to California. My wife is an actress, and so we both decided that might be the best place for us to go. I really wanted to be a comic artist, but at the time, no internet, no FedEx, no fax machines. You had to live in New York, and that's where the
right,
publishers were. That was the only
right.
way to do it to get started, at least. So I was a little bit terrified of New York, which is kind of weird in retrospect because I grew up in Detroit. So
Right.
people
What
are
gets
like,
scarier than
really?
Detroit? I'm from Detroit originally too. I live in Grand Rapids now, but I'm from Grosse Pointe. That's where I lived till I was about 9, and my family is the east side of Detroit. So yeah, Detroit's in my blood. I gotcha.
Yeah, me too. Um, but I loved it. I was comfortable here. Um, and I didn't realize that New York wasn't really probably as dangerous as I thought it was. I think I was influenced by a lot of movies and TV shows. But so anyway, at some point during art school, I made a decision to go out to California, and that's what I did. I took a week off from my tech job, and I took my portfolio out. I made a bunch of appointments in Los Angeles, and I ended up uh, eventually landing a job at I call it a boutique ad agency because it specialized in movie advertising. So
Okay.
it was an ad agency, but it was targeted at movie advertising. And they didn't hire artists. Nobody in LA hired artists. Everybody was freelance. All the illustrators. I didn't know that. So when I went up to California to try to get a job, I wanted like a salaried job or a clock in, clock out job.
Right. Right.
Nobody had that. And so I was a little bit disappointed. But this one place I went to by the name of BD Fox and Friends Advertising, they kind of took a chance on me. And they said, well, we'll try you for a month. And if we can give you enough work, keep you busy enough, and if, everything works out for you, then we'll make it permanent. So I did that. And after 2 weeks, the boss took me out to lunch, and he said, "It's working fine for us. So if it's working for you, you've got a job here." So that was how I
Wow.
got started,
That's awesome.
and that was where I met Matt Groening because at the
Right.
time, this is before The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
Matt was a writer. He was a struggling writer. He was doing his Life in Hell comic
Yeah.
strip,
I remember
but he,
those.
he made most of his money writing copy for movie posters and greeting cards and writing record reviews. And he worked at Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard. And,
Wow.
he did whatever he could to just keep the money coming in. And so, anyway, one of the things was writing taglines for movie posters. So he wasn't there every day because he was freelance, but I saw him once in a while, got to know him a little bit. He was a little bit of a minor celebrity because we all loved Life in Hell in the office.
Yeah.
Uh, but that was how I met him. And then a few years later, when he started The Simpsons, the one of the art directors that I worked with at this place was friends with Matt, and he put her in charge of all the merchandise art for The Simpsons. And she was looking for artists. She remembered that I liked to do cartooning, even though I was doing like more photorealistic painting for posters.
Hmm.
She remembered, oh, and, in Bill's off time, he used to do stupid little cartoons. So maybe he would like to, you know, slum and do a little work on this new show called The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So she contacted me. I said yes, and then the work never really stopped. It just was
Wow.
one thing after another.
That is wild. What are so working on movie posters and doing you were doing kind of photorealistic prints. Name me 3 or 4 ones that I would know that you did. Or maybe 3 or 4 ones that I would have never heard of or never guessed.
Most of the ones I did are ones that most people have never heard of, because I was young, and the way they made money from hiring me was freelancers were sometimes expensive, but if they had a big movie campaign for like a big budget film, it was a drop in the bucket to hire an illustrator. But if they had a low budget movie, what we used to call direct to drive in, and
L
now it's direct
Video
to
on demand,
streaming.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Netflix, right?
yeah, or just for a while it was direct to video, and yeah, to be honest, I don't know what it is now. I guess maybe direct to streaming, but
Right.
movies that didn't really show in theaters, they were low budget. They would throw those to me, and they could still make money because they weren't paying me a lot, and they weren't bringing in a lot for those, but it was more equitable for them. So I did a lot of low budget horror movies and teen sex comedies,
Oh
and
my gosh.
a lot of foreign films actually, because there were some good foreign films where they needed a new image to market it in the US. Um, so it might be like a really good film, but by the time they're marketing this film in the US, they don't really have a big budget anymore for marketing. So they would throw a lot of those to me. So I did. There was a movie called Choose Me that had a cool poster. One called The Hit that had John Hurt in it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so several, but the one that you probably have seen is for House, the horror movie
Okay.
House with William Catt.
We talked about that one a couple of years ago on my main podcast. We do a string of movies around Halloween,
Uh-huh.
and that was one. So that was with the kind of the gnarled finger touching the doorbell. Was it that was you?
Yeah, that was me.
Nice.
And if you look at the doorbell in the poster and also on the video, it's harder to see on the video because it's tiny, but I rendered a little like metal plate with screws like screwed into the side of the doorbell, and it says Morrison Manufacturing
Oh,
on,
made in
on the metal
Detroit.
plate. So uh,
Oh, that's
that's the
fantastic.
way I signed it,
Yeah,
because
that's
they normally
awesome.
wouldn't let you sign posters unless you were Drew Struzan or
Right,
John Alvin or somebody big. But
right.
um, that was how I snuck my name in.
I love it.
So I did that one. I did Blood Diner was one I did. Um, there was a Roger Corman movie called Wheels of Fire,
Wheels of Fire. Hmm.
and it was kind of a Road Warrior ripoff.
Okay.
Look it up.
Yeah, I will. That's good stuff. I'm gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. So, now something, and it was a little fuzzy because again, I was trying to get prepped for talking to you. Something mentioned that you spent some time working at Disney. Is this correct, or is
I
that
didn't actually work for Disney, but
okay?
after the job I had after this one, so I did this job for about 4 years.
Okay.
Then I got hired to work in an illustration studio that was owned by one of my idols, one of my like illustration idols, a guy that whose work I studied all through art school, by the name of David Willardson. And he made me an offer to work for him. And it was at his studio I started doing posters for Disney, movie posters. So I never actually worked directly. I wasn't employed by Disney, but I worked with their art directors, and it was all contracted work.
And so what's one, or what's one that I would recognize from those days?
Well, the first Little Mermaid poster was
Oh,
mine.
okay. Wow.
Um, Oliver and Company, the first Oliver and Company.
That's a fun one. Yeah.
Rescuers Down Under.
Okay.
I did a Roger Rabbit cartoon poster for Roller Coaster Rabbit.
Okay.
I did a Mickey Mouse featurette called The Prince and the Pauper.
Okay. Yes,
And
very
those
familiar
were
stuff.
new ones. I did
Yeah.
Land Before Time. That wasn't Disney, but
Okay.
the the look that I was doing at the studio got to be kind of well known as a Disney look.
Mm-hmm.
And when Land Before Time came out, Spielberg and Lucas had taken note of it, or at least their art directors had. And so they came to our studio and they had a poster, a painting that was already done. Uh, but the characters, the dinosaur characters, weren't on model. They didn't look like the film very much.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to paint the characters. I had to basically repaint them over this really lush, beautiful prehistoric background with a volcano, and the characters are walking across a log over a big ravine, and there's like a T-Rex on a ledge that's about to jump at them. Um, so anyway, I did the characters, but I didn't want to destroy the guy's painting. I just felt wrong about that. So
Yeah.
I painted the characters, I redrew them and I painted them on really thin Strathmore paper. And then I cut them out very precisely around the edges. I painted the edges so that the white of the inside of the paper wouldn't show. And then I glued them, with temporary rubber cement on the painting. So somewhere that painting exists. I don't know if those characters of mine have fallen off yet or if they're still on it. But yeah,
Disney keeps everything. It's in the
yeah,
vault somewhere, huh?
yeah. Dan Guzet was the artist who did the original painting.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
did that. But then I got to do a lot of the classics because back then they would re-release the classic
Right.
animated films back into
Right.
theaters, and they would need a new poster.
Right.
So I got to do Peter Pan and Cinderella, Bambi, Robin Hood, Jungle Book, Lady
Wow.
and the Tramp, a whole bunch of
All
them.
of them. Goodness
Yeah.
gracious. What's a favorite from that kind of Disney association that you can think of? Besides the one you
Uh,
just described, which sounded very intricate.
I really like The Prince and the Pauper because that was the first time I got to do Mickey and Donald and Goofy.
Yeah.
That was like one of those childhood bucket list kind of things
Yeah.
as an artist to get to do an official poster rendering of those characters. Um, I love the Little Mermaid one. I got great memories of that, and I like how it turned out. Some of them I look back and I'm like, I could have done better.
Yeah.
There's a few regrets, but Jungle Book, I like that one a lot. Lady and the Tramp, I like, and Bambi. Bambi's one of my
Oh,
favorite.
sure.
Yeah,
That's
I
fantastic.
just went ahead and
So,
renamed pretty
yeah.
much all of them.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to say any of them were bad. Well, I am, and again, it's far in the corner. I'm like, I must have something Simpsons around here, so I try to position here in my studio. I try to rotate the desk around to reflect maybe something of the person I'm talking to. But I have a Simpsons tin sign all the way back in the corner. That's the Simpsons walking across Abbey Road. Probably can't quite
Oh
make it
yeah,
out, but
the
but
artist who did that was Julius Priete,
oh, gotcha. You know more about
and
it than I do. I
yeah,
found it
it
at a
was
tin
meant for
sign
a
of that.
Rolling
Yeah,
Stone cover.
yeah.
And Julius at the time was the in-house guy at Fox for all the marketing art.
Oh, gotcha.
And I had
Okay.
I had done a lot of that stuff early on, but then when Bongo started, I didn't have time to do it anymore, so I had to devote almost all my time to Bongo.
Right.
And Julius had worked on the show, and he had done some comics for us. And I don't remember if I suggested him or if he got the job some other way, but he he basically got hired in house, which I never. I was in house at Fox, but a different department.
Yeah.
But he did like throughout the late 90s, 2000s, and all the way up until maybe a year ago, he did pretty much any Simpsons publicity art that's out there, any advertising or publicity. Most of it was
Mhm.
Julia's.
My mom worked at the local Fox station here when I was growing up. That's actually where I got this GI Joe poster that you see behind me, because back in those days it was syndicated. But I watched The Simpsons from the Tracy Ullman show on as a kid. I was an 80s and 90s kid,
Yeah,
so massive fan. And you were involved. So obviously, we've been talking about you were an illustrator. My notes say as an occasional writer for The Simpsons. Is that referring to the comics, or is that on the show as well? Did you do some
comics.
of that
No,
work?
I never wrote for the show,
Okay.
but I did a lot of writing for the comics and also editing. So I was the
Okay.
editor for years.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, never. Sometimes I get credited as a writer on the show, which I wasn't,
Mhm.
and I also get credited as a director on Futurama.
Right, you know what? That's exactly what this says right here. Where did that come from?
Well, I was the art director on the show.
There you go. That's the type of director.
So, yeah, so I guess, but I never
Yeah.
directed episodes. I'm not an animation director.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was directing the art directing the look of the show.
So what, and that raises an interesting question, because I don't know that I've had anyone, on the show with us. We've been doing this show format for about a year and a half. We've talked to a lot of different people who do a lot of different things. Um, when someone is an art director on a cartoon versus someone who is an art, and like kind of what you were describing here, like those two fields, what exactly does that look like? Like what are the responsibilities of having either one or both of those jobs?
Generally, an art director in film is somebody who guides the look of whatever it is. Sometimes they start out in development, which is what I did for Futurama. So I worked with Matt Groening on the development, the visual development of the show, not the writing or anything.
Hmm.
Um, but I was involved in character design, some of the early background design,
Hmm.
props, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, an art director in advertising is different, and in comics it's different. Um,
Right.
Generally, in advertising, the art director works with a creative team. Sometimes brainstorms ideas, does rough concept sketches, and then hires an illustrator to take those to finish.
Right.
And
Gotcha.
that's kind of the same thing with comics.
Okay.
So an art director, not every publisher has an art director. Sometimes the editor does the job of art director,
Hmm.
but generally the art director in comics would be somebody who looks at the artwork when it comes in and asks for corrections. Like
Okay.
John Romita Sr.
Right.
was the art director at Marvel, and
Right.
he had
Legend.
a crew of guys,
Right.
and if artwork came in that something didn't look right or Stan Lee suggested changes, then it was John's job as art director to make those changes and before it went to print.
Gotcha, gotcha. We've talked to I'm a Marvel zombie, as I'm sure you can tell looking around in my background, but I've had the pleasure of talking to a lot of Marvel and DC guys over the last couple of years that we've been doing this. So I'm a massive comic guy. I still read, I still collect. So are you so you worked, the Bongo comics, the Simpsons, is that something you're still involved with these days?
Well, Bongo closed its doors in 2018,
Oh, okay.
so
Gotcha.
nobody's doing Simpsons comics anymore or Futurama.
Oh man.
Um, Matt Groening owns the publishing rights to both of those shows. So for Simpsons or Futurama comics to come out again, it would have to go through Matt.
Yeah.
So, for example, if Marvel wanted to do Simpsons comics, they would have to sub-license, even though Marvel owns. It's really
Right.
weird. Even though Marvel owns
Yeah.
The Simpsons, or
Right.
Disney owns The Simpsons, which Disney also owns Marvel, so it's
Right.
it's
Well,
like
it's
a
why you're
family thing,
seeing you're seeing all these Predator and Alien, versus Godzilla versus the
right?
Marvel Universe. I've read a few of those. Planet of the Apes, there are comics that
Oh,
Marvel's
and
published in the last
Fantastic
few years.
Four, yeah, that's going
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, yeah, it's synergy. So, yeah, so that's interesting, but you're right, there's been no Simpsons, since that acquisition has happened in
Yeah,
comics form. It's gotta be in the offing at some point. It's gotta at some point of existence, I would imagine, somebody's thinking about it.
yeah. I mean, it would. I think. I think Matt's issue is if somebody's going to do Simpsons comics, he wants to have a lot of control over it
Mm,
because he did for so many years with Bongo. He was our
right,
publisher,
right,
and I don't think he wants to just hand it over to somebody and let them go with it.
right.
So he would, I think the deal would have to involve somebody close to him, uh, maybe me or somebody else who knows the characters, knows what he likes, can kind of almost read his mind. Um,
Yeah.
Either be involved like hands-on creatively or at least doing approvals.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. All right. So still thinking about The Simpsons. And again, I was talking about the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles guy. The Yellow Album. Tell me about how that came to pass. Because that was I loved, I think the first cool album that featured, from songs from the show was Songs of the Key of Springfield, if I'm
Right.
remembering correctly. And then it was the Yellow Album. So how did it and it was absolutely gorgeous. But tell me about it.
So um, we did actually Simpsons Sing the Blues was the first one.
Right, I remember that one too.
And that was all original songs, but it
Right,
was the voice actors singing as the
right.
characters.
I've got the CD around here somewhere.
Oh, cool. I did all the
Yeah.
art for the CD. Steve Vance and I actually. Steve, I think, did all the layouts and then I did finishes. And then quickly after that, we did the Yellow Album. Um, and again, Steve, did layouts. He told me he wanted the cover to be a parody of Sergeant Pepper's, the Sergeant Pepper's album cover. And he said, just, put the Simpsons in the costumes, but then have like the Matt Groening version of the Simpsons off to the side as like, the wax dummies.
Right. Which
And then,
which which yeah, yeah,
and then just populate the rest of it with characters from the Simpsons.
yeah.
There were a few jokes like welcome Ren and Stimpy, because on the original Beatles cover, there's like a doll and it's wearing a sweater that says "Welcome Rolling Stones."
Right.
So we made it "Welcome Ren and Stimpy."
Oh, yeah.
Just lots of cool, fun parody jokes. Um, so I did the art for that, and also the stuff on the inside. And then it didn't come out. And I remember like calling somebody and saying, "When is this album coming out?" And I was told that there was some kind of a legal dispute with the either the songs or the voice actors. And I don't know really 100% what it was, but I just know it got shelved. So it was on it was just sitting around collecting dust for years.
Yeah.
And one day I got a call from the head of publicity for The Simpsons, and she said, "Do you remember that artwork that you did for the Yellow Album?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, do you still have that? Because we'd like to borrow it. They want to do a couch gag based on it
Mm.
for the show." And so I sent it over and they scanned it and then they animated this couch gag based on it. The album still hadn't come out.
Oh, man.
And then finally after that it did. So everybody thinks the album art was based on the couch gag. It
Right.
was really the other way around just
Oh,
because of
wow.
legal issues, I guess.
Yeah. The lawyers.
Yeah.
Always, always. So Kurt had a question. I allowed him a question because he's such a good buddy of mine and helped introduce me to you. What do you think about The Simpsons hitting episode 800? Like, does that just blow your mind? It blows my mind. And I don't keep up with the show anymore myself.
It's crazy. I just did a poster for an episode that aired at the very end of December.
Okay.
It was called The Fall Guy Yai Yai. And in the episode, Homer gets hired by Bumblebee Man to be his stunt double
I got to
because he
watch that one.
notices that no matter what happens to Homer, he never seems to really get hurt.
Yeah.
And he's getting tired of getting banged up and injured. And so he's like, I should hire this guy and he can take all the hits for me.
Right.
It's a really good episode. I mean, they're still doing great episodes. But I got to watch it and before it came out and I did the poster for it. And I'm doing another one for an upcoming episode. It might be the 800th. I'm not sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm not really sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha,
I haven't
gotcha.
clocked
So
it.
so you are still pretty active, handling these types of art projects for them?
Yeah, I get called in. Sometimes they don't realize I live in Michigan now.
Oh.
Uh, they'll be like, "Yeah, can you come down to the office?" And I'm like, "Well, I'd have to hop a plane." So,
Right,
but it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, post COVID, you can
right.
live anywhere. Nobody cares.
Right,
You don't
right.
have
But
to
it's,
come into
it's
the
the
office.
way it's always should be,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Though I know you don't say that in LA these days since all the filming projects seem to be elsewhere. I've had more than one actor tell me that recently. And yeah, they're like, I had a guy I was talking to last night said LA's kind of emptied out, which is kind of nice. You can roam around the streets and work on, other projects and stuff like that. But, it's really a paradigm shift for sure in
yeah.
that world. So
Well, I
that's
did.
awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to say I recently did something that probably a lot of people saw and might not have realized I did it, but it was the Simpsons Fortnite mini season,
Really?
and I did. I think almost all of the loading screens. I did 9 of them.
Okay.
So there were 4 weekly screens, and then there were 5 battle pass screens that I did, along with
Fantastic.
2 of my former bongo cohorts. They helped me with um, inking and coloring,
Yeah.
and that was fun. It was really cool, and they gave me screen credit. I got a lot of teasing from the other 2 guys, Shaban and Mike, because they didn't.
Yeah.
They just credited everything to me, so I got ripped
Aw.
about that. But
Yeah.
you don't usually have control over that, and it was a surprise. I had no idea. But I teach now at the College for Creative Studies, my alma mater,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I was teaching this one class, and I think I introduced a new assignment, and then I said, "Does anybody have any questions?" And as usual, the kids clam up, and they don't
Right.
ask any questions until it's too late.
Right, of course.
But nobody said anything, and I said, "Really? You sure? No questions? Come on, now's the time. Any questions?" And then this one guy raised his hand, and he got this big grin on his face, and he said, "Did you do something for Fortnite with the Simpsons?" And I said, "Yeah, I did. Did you see that?" And he said, "Yeah." And there was a credit, and it said Bill Morrison, and I thought, "Is that the same guy that's my teacher? Wow,
Yeah.
amazing."
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was fun.
That's introducing your work to a new generation.
Yeah,
So, last question, just off the cuff. So, you started off talking about, the traditional Marvel and DC superhero world of New York City and that your direction, didn't kind of go in that.
yeah.
Um, as I mentioned, obviously I'm a huge comic guy. Who's your, if you were to jump in and do a superhero comic, like your dream gig, what character would you like to tackle?
Well, my favorite character of all time is Batman,
Oh, of course.
um, and I've actually pitched a couple of times Batman stories,
Mhm.
um, both times with another writer. So it was me doing the art, and one time it was going to be like kind of a retro Dick Sprang era kind of
Oh,
Batman
wow. Cool.
with Paul Dini,
Oh, wow.
and I thought, oh,
The guy.
this is gonna get greenlit for sure. And at the time, Dan DiDio, who was publisher then, said we pitched him at Comic Con, and I did this piece of art. I did like a pitch piece that had Batman and Robin in Las Vegas, like circa 1960,
Ooh.
and the Riddler was in there, and Ra's al Ghul, and it was all the stuff that Paul had in this really great story that he'd come up with. And Dan said, "We really like this, but we're not doing anything retro right now with Batman.
Mhm.
So, maybe sometime in the future, but we're not doing this now." And then, like a year later, Darwin Cook's New Frontier came out, and it's even got scenes in Las Vegas.
Oh, man.
And I thought, obviously, they had this in you know,
Right.
on the stove, but they couldn't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they felt that, like, well, this would be something that would be viewed as either similar and stepping on what Darwin was doing,
Yeah.
or inferior my art
Right.
if my art wasn't good. and people
Mm,
would compare it unfairly. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so they said no.
that's a tough one.
But
But
yeah,
as
if
you
if
said,
I had a
your phone
chance,
tends,
go
yeah,
ahead, man.
your phone tends to ring, and people saying, "Hey, do you still like the Yellow Album?" I said, "Hey, can we scan your thing?" And then all of a sudden, blew up, something new emerges. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome. Um, so you're still in Metro Detroit.
yeah,
Do you end up at Motor City Comic Con very often?
yeah. I haven't been there in a couple of years. Um, there was kind of a change in personnel
Right.
in the person who is like the guest liaison,
Okay.
and I've never connected with the new person yet.
Oh man. Well,
So
Kurt and I both do press for Motor City Comic Con, so maybe we can help you out
yeah,
if you ever
spread the
have any
word.
interest. Yeah, I'll tell Kurt and we'll put heads together and we can see if we can get a deal going for you because
That'd
that
be
would be
great.
awesome.
I'd love to go
Yeah, you
back.
bet.
I did it for years and years from California. They would fly me in, and I always loved doing the show. Uh, had a great time with them.
And now
Now
you're a short trip
I
right
do
up the lodge.
Astronomicon
Yeah.
in the Detroit area. It's out in
Okay.
Ypsilanti now. I do
Yeah.
Grand Rapids.
Oh, yep. So that's where I am. I live in Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay. I'm going to do that
Yeah.
one this year.
Oh, cool.
I do Monroe. So I do a
Yeah.
lot of shows around here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to do Motor City again. That's a
Yeah,
good
I
one.
will. That's the main one I focus on because that's kind of I like the big show and the big energy and stuff, and so
Yeah.
you belong there. You belong there. Well,
I
cool.
don't
Well,
like the
that man, that's
parking.
all I've got for you. Any other projects that you want to plug? Anything else that's going on that you want people to know about?
That's a good question. I'm never prepared. Every interview I do, I get that question at the end, and it's like, why aren't you prepared for that? You would think,
Don't worry about it's okay.
yeah,
You've told me plenty. If you can't think of anything, that's all right.
um, yeah. I'm like I said, still doing Simpsons stuff. I'm doing another Fortnite job that I can't talk about, but
Okay,
with different characters, not the Simpsons. So that'll be coming out
right.
soon.
Good deal.
Um, but yeah, I love living back in Michigan. It's great
Yeah,
being here after all these years. I got a lot of friends here, a lot of family.
yeah.
My wife and I
Not this
both.
winter in particular, but it's
Yeah, we
been
got
so
kind of
brutal.
spoiled. We
Yeah,
we came back and in at the end of 2019,
yeah,
and that was a little bit of a rough winter.
yeah.
But then the ones after that have been really
Super
mild,
mild.
and
Yeah.
so I
And
got
now we're getting,
spoiled, and this one's really
yeah.
hit me hard.
Yeah, we got about 3 feet on this snow on the ground. It's a blast.
Yeah,
But spring's coming. Spring's coming.
it'll be
You know,
here.
like Bart said at Camp Krusty, Krusty is coming. Krusty is coming. Well, Bill, this has been absolutely terrific. Thank you for spending some time with me. How about your social plugs? You have a website. Is there a place where people can find your art?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at
Okay.
Atomic Battery,
Okay.
Bill Morrison, Atomic Battery Studios,
Okay.
and
Cool.
Instagram is Atomic Battery or at Atomic Battery, and then Blue Sky. I'm Bill Morrison Actual.
I gotcha. I will make sure. Whoops, I was trying to type that and I feel like it didn't show up in the show notes. I will put it in the show notes, which means when this publishes, people can click on your links.
Terrific.
So with that, thanks for joining. That's our show, folks. If you're tuning in on our Patreon, thanks for being one of our great Patreons. If you're listening or watching on YouTube or Apple or Spotify or on our website, you can visit our Patreon at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite and listen to all the other great creator interviews that we've done, just like we've done here, talking to Bill Morrison. Bill, thank you very much, and hope to see you at Motor City.
Anytime. I hope to see you too. Take
All
care.
right, take care. All right.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.